Welcome to BL Stories, where romance, drama, and unforgettable boys' love come to life. Love knows no limits, and the best stories aren't always straight. Subscribe now and join our growing BL-loving family. Christian's POV. Put your back into it, son. This couch isn't going to move itself, Slav scolded. You know, when you said you needed my help this morning, this isn't what I thought you meant, I replied between breaths. We were halfway through dragging my mother's heavy Victorian-style couch from one side of the living room to the other. Don't you usually have people for this? Why are we doing it ourselves? I asked. He shrugged. When I do things like this, your mother appreciates it. So, stop complaining and help me move this thing. I tried not to think too hard about my father's comment. Some things were better left unimagined. Where is Mum anyway? Usually, she'd already be reminding me how I'm doing it wrong, I said. She's out taking care of some business. I told her I'd have this couch moved before she got back, Slav replied, just before his phone rang. Hold on, he said, dropping his end of the couch and letting the rest of the weight fall on me. Dad! I yelped, struggling to gently lower the heavy furniture without damaging Mum's marble floor. Hey Brad, what's up? Slav said into the phone, ignoring me completely. His expression changed as he listened. He did what? Just hang tight, Christian and I are on our way. That was Brad. I asked as he hung up. Yep, get your coat. He needs our help. Why do I have to come? I was just there, I groaned. Because I said so, and I'm not driving, he replied. When we arrived at Brad's, I quickly realized what we'd walked into. Derek was sprawled out on the floor, clearly worse for wear, and covered in his own mess. What happened? Slav asked. This genius decided to try some of your strongest liquor, Brad explained. He's been like this for an hour. I'm not sure if we should take him to the hospital. He had some of the Dansky spiritus? Slav asked. And the Dansky rectificoni, Brad added. I winced. A hospital might actually be a good idea. Nonsense, Slav waved it off. Help me get him to the bathroom, Christian. I glanced at Derek, then back at my father. This was not how I'd planned to spend my Monday morning. We hauled Derek upright. He smelled awful. What about the mess? Brad asked. You're the one who insists on not hiring any help. Clean it up, Slav replied. Brad grimaced but started pulling out cleaning supplies. This takes me back, Slav joked as we half-carried, half-dragged Derek toward the nearest bathroom. We barely made it before he leaned over the toilet and got sick again. Slav knelt beside him, patting his back. I stayed quiet. My father didn't talk much about his military days, but I'd seen his scars. And I remembered him doing the same thing for me on my 21st birthday when I learned the hard way that strong drinks come with stronger consequences. When Derek was finally done, Slav helped him to his feet. All right, let's get you cleaned up, my father said firmly. I don't think that's necessary, Derek mumbled, still disoriented. It is, Slav replied, guiding him toward the shower. Derek hesitated, but eventually stepped in. Before he could prepare himself, Slav turned the removable shower head to its strongest jet setting and blasted him with ice-cold water. The yelp Derek let out could probably be heard down the street. Cold, 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 he chanted, trying to dodge the spray, but Slav kept going until Derek was clean. Brad walked in just as Derek sat shivering in the tub. Ah, the classic hose down, Brad said with a grin. I just nodded. Slav looked far too pleased with himself. Alright boys, stage 1 and 2 are complete. Let's move on to stage 3. Derek caught my eyes, and I gave him a sympathetic look. He really should have stayed away from the Dansky. Alex's POV. J. John. I stammered as Mr. Terry himself stepped into my office. Alex. You look surprised to see me, he remarked almost immediately. Hi. Sir. Please, have a seat. I gestured toward one of the guest chairs. Did Christian mention I'd be stopping by? John asked as he settled across from me. Yes, he did. But he said you'd be here at 9:45. John glanced at his watch, then at the clock on my wall. Must be the time zone from my last trip. No wonder my team was confused this morning. He chuckled, adjusting his watch. That's quite all right, Mr. Terry. John, he corrected with a smile. Right, John. My apologies. I haven't had the chance to organize your paperwork yet. Things are a bit of a mess. No worries. Take all the time you need. I'm not in a rush, he said easily, making himself comfortable. I looked at the stack of mixed papers on my desk, still disordered from when Anna shoved them aside earlier. Christian must have numbered them, right? The first pages I checked read 123, 124, 125. Thankfully, some were still grouped together. Did you enjoy the gala? John asked, pulling me from my concentration. Yes, it was lovely. How about you? Did you have a good time? I replied, fumbling to arrange the documents in order. His gaze didn't waver, and the quiet intensity of it made my pulse quicken. It was very nice. I noticed you and your friends made a quiet exit toward the end of the night. My eyes flicked up to his. Every time they met, I forgot how impossibly polished this man looked. Yes, sorry. I had to get my mum home, I corrected mid-sentence. Saying home still felt strange when I wasn't sure she really had one. I understand, John said after a pause. I hope she's doing better. She was very pleasant, from the little time I spoke with her. I gave a small smile, knowing he was being polite. I didn't have much fondness for my mother, but clearly John wasn't going to say anything unkind. She's better. Did Christian give you the articles of agreement? He nodded, pulling out papers from his portfolio. I started aligning them with mine. This looks extensive, he commented. Oh, I was hoping you'd know exactly what all this is, I murmured under my breath. John laughed warmly. Let's just run through them. If there's a signature line, I'll sign. I trust Christian to finalize everything. That was reassuring. I quickly located the signature spots, still moving with a sense of urgency despite his calm. These here are the donation figures from the gala, I explained. We've also started 3 new prospect agreements for your business. Christian wants to begin promotions while the investors are still engaged. John nodded and signed. How do you like working here? He asked, once again pulling me out of my professional focus. It's good, I said honestly. I've learned a lot over the past month. It's been unlike anything I expected. I'm sure you imagined something far more dramatic, John joked. I laughed. Something like that? I didn't think I'd last this long. I hear you're the longest assistant Christian's ever had, he said. I smiled awkwardly. I thought I'd be unlucky assistant number 20-something. Oh, I think he's past the 30s now, John teased. There's a difference between his personal assistants and his work assistants? I asked. Doesn't feel like it, does it? Not exactly, I said with a polite smile, handing him another set of papers. It's amazing how much Christian has changed. The professionalism he showed at the New York conferences impressed me. I had hesitated to partner with him for years because my advisors warned me it wasn't a safe bet. But he's really put things together where it matters, John said thoughtfully. I was curious to hear more. That young man used to go through money like water. In college, he spent more than he saved. When we heard he was taking over Ivanov Corp., we were shocked and concerned. His father retired earlier than expected, and Christian wasn't exactly in the best shape to lead. But watching him grow into a capable CEO has been remarkable. That does sound like him, I admitted. John smiled. You should know, you're not lucky to have him. He's lucky to have you, and believe me, he's very lucky. He added a wink, and my cheeks warmed instantly. Christian's POV. Listen, I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me, but believe me when I say I'd rather starve than eat, whatever that is, Derek mumbled, his words still slurred. The oversized shirt he wore kept slipping off his shoulder. If I thought Brad's shirt looked like a dress on Alex, then Brad's clothes looked like a full-length gown on Derek. The sweatpants I'd found for him were rolled at the waist 5 or 6 times just so they wouldn't drag across Brad's floor. It was either that or let him remain unclothed. He didn't seem too bothered by his choice. He was finally starting to sober up, but with Dansky, the hangover always got worse before it got better. Eat, my father said flatly. You haven't felt the worst of this yet. Derek eyed the plate Slav had set in front of him like it might attack. I'll take my chances, Derek said, pushing the plate back. I saw Slav's eye twitch, a warning sign, and decided I'd better step in before my father lost his patience. It's called katterfrühstück, I explained. It's marinated herring and pickled gherkin, basically cucumbers, wrapped in onion. Yes, it smells and tastes strong, but it'll make you feel better fast. Derek stared at the plate, then shook his head. Nope. I'll take the headache. That was the moment Slav's patience snapped. I spent 2 hours making this, my father said, voice sharp. If you don't finish every bite, you won't like the alternative. That was all it took. Derek reluctantly picked up his fork. The first bite was painful to watch. Brad and I couldn't help laughing as Derek's face twisted in disgust. He gagged a few times but eventually forced it down. I think I'm going to be sick again, he muttered. Slav sat across from him with a satisfied grin, watching every bite. Seeing it brought back memories. Back in college, Brad drank far more than he does now. His favorite line was, "If we die, we die." There was one night when our father hosted a gentleman's gathering, and we were finally invited. By the end, Brad had made a series of terrible choices, one of which caused drama for years, and I had somehow managed to set my mother's kitchen on fire. The next morning, we woke up outside, still in the yard, and absolutely covered in the aftermath of our poor decisions. The culprit? Always Dansky. Our father had hosed us down in the backyard that morning. At least Derek had the courtesy of a bathtub. This is awful, Derek groaned. Slav put a hand on his shoulder. I expect you to finish it. That was his final word before stepping out to take a phone call. The moment he was gone, Derek sighed in relief. Please, help me finish this. Brad and I exchanged a look and stepped back. No can do, I said. That dish is why I quit drinking heavily, Brad added. Derek looked betrayed. You'd leave me like this? In my time of need? Yes, Brad replied without hesitation. When I say our father is capable of coming back in here just to check our breath, I'm serious, I told him. I'm not risking it. Derek tried another bite, grimacing with each chew. The only way to describe that taste was, if you mixed sauerkraut with pickle juice, added a squeeze of pure citrus, then wrapped it in onion. My father had learned it from German friends back in the day. Please tell me there's nothing worse after this, Derek groaned. If Brad or I still weren't feeling well, he'd give us glass after glass of water, and then a detox smoothie, I said. And trust me, you do not want to try that smoothie. Derek looked horrified. I checked my phone. I hadn't meant to be out of the office this long, but Slav had derailed my morning. No texts from Alex, so I sent one. How'd the meeting with John go? A reply came within seconds. It went well. He came in earlier than expected, which threw me off. You didn't tell me you wrote a novel for him to sign. I inhaled sharply, remembering the paperwork. We hadn't had much time to discuss the agreement after the way the gala ended last night. Sorry, were you able to figure it out? Yeah, John just signed wherever I could find a signature page. The man has a concerning amount of trust in you. I smirked. I had the same trust in him. Another message came through. Seeing your mum, then John, really threw my morning off. Since you didn't warn me about any of this, I think you owe me Eddie Chong. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I read that again. My mother had visited Alex this morning? Christian's POV. Where's Mum? I asked the moment Slav walked into the kitchen. She's just running errands, my father replied casually, glancing toward Derek, who was forcing down the last few bites of his meal. Good, he nodded at him. Errands? I pressed, not letting him change the subject. Because Alex just told me Mum stopped by to have him sign a non-disclosure agreement. That doesn't sound like running errands, it sounds like a strategic move on her part. My father hesitated, clearly weighing his words. It's just, we were advised that it would be best. Advised by who? Brad cut in sharply. Because I'm your lawyer, and I didn't advise anything. The tension in the room spiked. Derek glanced between Brad and our father as he quietly chewed his last bite. We thought it might be best to bring in a different legal team, Slav explained. You have to admit, this is a little too close to home. We don't want you more involved than you already are. I understood the reasoning, but not the secrecy. Keeping Brad in the dark never ended well. Dad, that's the kind of thing you don't keep from me, Brad said, slamming his water bottle onto the kitchen island with a sharp clang. Brad rarely lost his temper like this, especially physically, and the sound made me flinch. Slav paused before answering. Everything we've done, and everything we'll continue to do, is in your best interest. Brad was quick to fire back. I don't need you to protect me, neither of you. If you want me to represent the company on this, you'll hire me. If not, consider this my 2 weeks' notice. I turned to him so fast I thought I might have given myself whiplash. Hey, hold on a second. You're also my lawyer, remember? Brad shrugged. You can find another one. You've got the resources. I narrowed my eyes. That's not true and you know it. I don't want just any lawyer, I want you. If you quit, I'll step down as so. All right, let's slow down, Slav cut in firmly. No one is quitting. I'll speak to your mother today. Brad gave him a single nod, then grabbed his jacket from the bar stool. Where are you going? I asked. Lunch with Joan, then some business to take care of. Show yourselves out when you're done. I sent the drivers home, so Derek, you'll need to figure out your own way. It's fine, I can Uber, Derek began, but I cut him off. Home? Absolutely not. You've got, I checked my watch, 5 hours left in your workday. I expect you at your desk by 1 o'clock. Derek looked like I just crushed his spirit. You're really going to make me go to work, in this condition? You'll survive. But if you take the day off, it's unpaid, I said matter-of-factly. Why you like this? Who hurt you? He groaned. Brad chuckled on his way out. Figure it out, but make sure you're gone before I get back. Then he shut the door behind him. Derek sighed, placing his plate in the sink. Out of sheer kindness, I ordered him an Uber so he could change into work clothes before rejoining the rest of my overworked employees. I drove Slav home, spotting my mother's car parked outside. Part of me wanted to walk in with him and confront her about the NDA, but my priority was checking on Alex. So, I swallowed my frustration, dropped Slav off, and headed to the office. Ivanov Corp was pure chaos after the gala. Marketing was in overdrive launching the Mavericks promotions, and the sales floor was scrambling to price individual items. By the time I reached the 5th floor, the only thing that eased my mood was seeing Alex, alive, though maybe not entirely well. His tie was loose, the top buttons of his shirt undone, and the mountain of paperwork around him looked impenetrable. When his eyes met mine, you'd think I'd just walked in with divine intervention. Oh, thank goodness you're here, he blurted as I stepped inside. You look exhausted. What happened? Why didn't you call? I asked. I thought I could handle it, but I've got 30 open IT tickets. Every single person in this building has called me at least once with questions I couldn't answer, and 3 major sites are down, so marketing is a disaster, Alex said in one breath. I glanced at the top of his paperwork. Next time, call me. You don't have to take everything on yourself, I told him. Now, brief me. He flipped through folders, pulling one free. We need to get the sites back online so marketing can work again. Most of the IT tickets are about that. John's investors called with questions about the draft agreement. You'll need to call them before tomorrow ends. Oh, and HR needs you to confirm bonus amounts and commission. I stared at him as he rattled everything off in record time. That's all I can think of for now, he added. Without a word, I pulled out my phone and found the number I wanted. Who are you calling? Alex asked. Eddie Chang, I replied. Alex's POV. Do you think we should move the launch up a day? I mumbled to Christian between bites of fried noodles. Chew first, Christian replied sharply. I swallowed before continuing. The Mavericks launch is set for next Monday, right? If we moved it to Tuesday, we could do an early showcase for the next season's designs alongside Miles's camping gear. It would pair well with Maverick Sports line and save us marketing costs. No need for 2 separate events. Christian gave a thoughtful nod. That could work, but it would mean crunch time. Are you ready to put in the overtime? Well, the money we save could just go toward my bonus, I said, giving him a playful wink. He chuckled. "You wish. I'll consider a little extra on your next paycheck if I see you pull it off." I huffed, scooping another spoonful of rice. We didn't have time for a real break, so the last half hour had been spent eating Eddie Chang's takeout at his desk while talking work. Once lunch was over, I went back to closing IT help desk tickets while Christian organized the agreement documents John had signed. Every so often, I'd glance at him. I liked watching him work. His expression was focused but soft as he reviewed the marketing data. Whenever our eyes met, I'd quickly look away, only to catch the faint curl of a smug smile on his lips. A smile that used to irritate me, but now just made me flustered. By 6 o'clock, I was surprised to hear we were done for the day. "We'll handle the rest tomorrow," Christian said, helping me pack away the remaining work. "I've got to head to my parents' place anyway. I can't remember the last time I've been home this much in just a few days." Slav was supposed to leave this week, but after the gala. I doubt that's happening anytime soon. We gathered our coats and briefcases, and Christian double-checked that all sensitive files were secure before we headed to the elevator. "How's it been with him here?" I asked. "It's not that I don't love my father," he began, "but I'd gotten used to him being away. Now that he's here, memories, good and bad, are coming back." It struck me then that he probably knew far more about my life than I knew about his. "Slav was a very difficult father when we were young," Christian continued. "My relationship with him was strained, especially compared to his relationship with Brad. They were close, almost inseparable. I always thought he overcompensated with Brad because of his childhood, but maybe that was my own jealousy talking." The elevator doors opened to the garage. I'd almost forgotten my car was still here from the gala night. "I couldn't ignore how my mother treated Brad," Christian said as we walked. "It wasn't that she didn't love him, I think she just didn't know how to. Once, after a few drinks, she told me Brad looked exactly like her brother when he was young. I think that stirred up a lot of pain she never wanted to deal with." I stayed quiet, letting him speak. "As awful as it sounds," he went on, "I think for most of Brad's teen and college years, it was like she had to see the face of someone who'd hurt her every single day. It weighed on both of them. When she handed the company to me instead of him, it hurt Brad in a whole new way." We reached our cars. "Slav being here has been challenging," Christian admitted. "His expectations nearly broke me the last time he stayed. We tried to repair things over the years with calls and letters, but it's hard for someone set in their ways to change." He sighed. "Now, with everything resurfacing, I think we're all being forced to face things we've kept in the dark. Slav believes he's Brad's only father. I don't disagree, but I don't think it's that simple." The sound of Christian unlocking his car broke the moment. As awful as Brad's biological father is, I think part of him still wants answers. Part of him doesn't want Vadik to disappear again. Part of him wants to see him. Christian helped me put my things in my back seat, then stepped closer to my driver's side door. Even in the dim garage lighting, his blue eyes stood out, locking on mine. "Unfortunately," he said quietly, "I think that's the part of Brad he's most afraid of, the part that wants to know his biological father." Christian's POV. Steve was the first to greet me as soon as I pulled into the grand entrance of my mother's estate. "Good evening, Mr. Ivanov. What a nice surprise." "Hi, Steve." I gave him a genuine smile. Steve was one of the few reasons I could tolerate coming here. "Will you be staying late tonight, sir? Would you like me to park your vehicle?" "Nah, don't worry about it. I won't be here long." "You know your mother doesn't like cars parked out front," Steve reminded me. "I know," I replied with a wink. He did his best to hide a grin as he led me inside. Almost immediately, a familiar smell drifted through the air, stopping me in my tracks. Pelmeni. There was no way, right? That dish was reserved for birthdays or holidays. My mother rarely cooked. She always said we were privileged enough to have people for that. Pelmeni was different though. She'd learned it from her own mother, filling the dumplings with lamb or venison depending on the season. Judging from the aroma, tonight's batch was venison. And that made me suspicious. Had I forgotten someone's birthday? Was there big news? Or worse, had someone died? "Christian? I didn't know you were planning on stopping by," Slav said, appearing in the main hall. I slipped off my shoes at the door, knowing it would irritate him if I tracked them through the house. Yeah. I told Mum I was coming. I wanted to talk to her, I said. His expression tightened. Well, that makes sense now, he muttered, brushing past me. She's in the kitchen. Where are you going? I asked. To make myself a very strong drink, he replied, heading toward the bar. That only made me more suspicious. When I stepped into the kitchen, memories hit me instantly. My mother was at the stove, frying pelmeni in a large wok from the set I'd bought her for Christmas. Technically, I'd bought it for her cooks, since she only came in here about once a month. But the apron she wore stopped me for a moment. It was the one Brad and I had made her for Mother's Day when we were kids, covered in our painted handprints. I was surprised she'd kept it all these years. Christian. She turned with a smile. You made it. That I did, I said, eyeing the stove. Why are you making pelmeni? I thought it would be a nice surprise. You don't do surprises, I said plainly. I thought it might help to have a good meal to talk over, she replied. In other words, her way of bribing me. Mum, nothing you cook is going to. Let me make you a plate before we discuss anything, she insisted, plating up the dumplings and setting them in front of me. I took the first bite and nearly closed my eyes at how good it was. She knew exactly what she was doing. She watched in satisfaction as I cleared the plate, but I wasn't going to let her avoid the point. You served my friend's non-disclosure agreements? I asked. Her smile faltered. Christian, our legal team advised. I don't care what the legal team advised. You promised no more secrets. You promised to keep Brad and me in the loop. Did you think I wouldn't find out? We're just trying to protect us, I finished. You don't get to make that decision for us anymore. She hesitated before saying, I know. I spoke with your father. He told me I was wrong not to speak with you first. I shouldn't have done it that way. My mother rarely apologized, so it meant something, but not enough. I want those agreements nullified. Christian, I don't think that's a good idea, she said carefully. So, were you apologizing for serving them, or for getting caught? Because those are two different things. She opened her mouth, then stopped, clearly choosing her words. You barely know these people, she said at last. Now they know more about us than anyone should. And yet I trust them more than I trust you right now, I shot back. They didn't ask to be involved in our mess. Your brother hacked our servers. Your brother showed up at the gala. None of that is on Alex, Derek, or Joan, and I trust them to keep that information private. She went silent, focusing on scrubbing the pan in the sink with far too much force. I stepped forward, setting my hand over hers to stop her before she damaged it, or the cookware. She looked at me sharply. I know this isn't easy for you, I said quietly, but I'm not here to make it harder. I'm here to help. Let me. And please, don't push Brad and me out, especially when this affects all of us. Her eyes softened, tears forming. Then, in a rare gesture, my mother pulled me into her arms. Alex's POV. The rest of the week went by faster than I could keep track of. Christian and I had a short conversation about the non-disclosure agreement his mother had us all sign, meaning me, Derek, and Joan. He assured me that Anna was going to nullify it, and I'd have nothing to worry about. That was a relief, considering I didn't have the kind of assets that would hold up in a legal battle with the Ivanovs. My most prized possession was my rock collection from 3rd grade, probably not something they'd accept as collateral. Anna didn't come by again that week, and neither did John, which made things quieter on my end. I focused on keeping up with Christian as he mapped out the rest of the year. With the Mavericks deal, our projected revenue was looking incredible. That meant more funding for future projects, fewer setbacks, and an even bigger payday for the Ivanovs. By Friday, crunch time for the Mavericks launch was in full swing. It was clear I'd need to come in over the weekend to finish everything. Christian had been tied up in meetings most of the day, so I didn't see much of him until late afternoon. How were the calls? He asked as he stepped into my office, looking just as put together as he had that morning, though today he'd swapped his usual jacket for a tailored vest. I had to stop myself from staring, or more accurately, from staring too long. The calls went well, I said, forcing my voice to sound casual. I worked out most of the smaller issues with marketing. That's good. How's the workload? He asked, sitting across from me. Lengthy, but manageable. I'll come in for a few hours tomorrow to finish. He nodded. John reached out this morning. He's away on a business trip, but he wants us to meet some other promising partners next week. I perked up. Another trip to New York? He shook his head. Hawaii. Wednesday through Friday. Hawaii. I repeated under my breath. Christian chuckled. If you think Hawaii is exotic, I'm going to have to take you to more places. That sounds amazing. Should I start looking at places for us to stay? Absolutely not, he cut in immediately. The way you planned our New York trip was chaotic at best. I feigned offense. Hey, it all worked out in the end, didn't it? He smirked. I'm starting to think that whole trip was an elaborate plan to distract me. Oh yes, I deadpanned. Arriving late and slightly sick to that third meeting? Totally part of the master plan. We laughed, but soon he glanced at the clock. You should head home. Especially if you're coming in tomorrow. Whatever's left can wait. I can stay a little longer. Nope. You look like this week has drained you. Go home, rest, and come back ready for tomorrow. It was hard to argue with that. Christian helped me pack up and walked me down to the underground parking garage, like he often did. It had become our quiet routine. Out of sight of most coworkers, I gave him a quick hug, something friendly enough if anyone happened to be around. But his hand slid lower, giving a discreet squeeze that sent a jolt through me. Dangerous territory. And not nearly enough. We said goodbye and went our separate ways. Christian's POV. Every part of me wanted to go home with Alex. But instead, I drove to my own house, reminding myself I had things to take care of. Pulling into the driveway, I spotted one of our company cars parked out front. A surprise, since I hadn't expected any visitors tonight. Maybe Nathaniel had driven it back? That didn't quite make sense. I usually let him use my personal cars if he needed to run errands, and truthfully, he wasn't a big fan of driving. As I stepped out and headed for the door, I noticed it was slightly ajar. Instantly, I went on alert. I could hear raised voices inside. But the second I pushed the door open and stepped in, the argument stopped. Two pairs of eyes turned toward me, one belonging to Nathaniel, who looked thoroughly irritated, and the other to the only person who could push his buttons like that. She smiled at me. Hi, Chris. I blinked. Bridge. Christian's POV. What are you doing here? I asked Bridget. Before she could answer, I turned to Nathaniel. What is she doing here? Nathaniel looked as confused and irritated as I felt, which told me he had no idea either. She just walked in not even 15 minutes ago, he explained. I glanced toward the front door. She had just walked in? Like she owned the place? I thought you said you'd take care of getting the locks changed, Nathaniel reminded me. And there it was. He was right. I had planned to do that as soon as she left the last time, probably should have done it long before that, but the chaos of the past month had pulled me in every other direction. Clearly, Bridget still had her key. Why had I ever given her one in the first place? Listen, Christian, we need to talk, she said, pulling me from my thoughts. No, we don't. There's nothing we need to discuss. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, I replied. Just hear me out, she insisted. I want to try again, us again. I can see where I went wrong and I want to fix it. She shifted her shoulders so the strap of her sundress slipped slightly. It felt calculated, and it made me more uncomfortable than anything. What happened? Bank account run low again. Nathaniel cut in. I couldn't stop the small laugh that escaped. Bridget's face flashed with irritation, but she smoothed it over quickly. No, I've just had time to reflect, and I think we were good for each other, she said. Like Bonnie and Clyde. Nathaniel gave a short, incredulous laugh. I looked at her as though she had lost her last shred of sense. We weren't good for each other. All you did was spend my money and give me headaches. We were together because I thought it was what my mother wanted, not because it was what I wanted. And now that I've realized that, I want you to leave. Her expression shifted into something that seemed intended to look hurt, but didn't quite land. I can't, she said, shaking her head. I'm pregnant. Nathaniel and I exchanged a glance, and then both laughed. "Bridget, you're not pregnant," I said firmly. "If you were, I'd know for certain it wasn't mine." From the beginning, Nathaniel and I had been on the same page. I didn't trust that she'd been honest about birth control, and Nathaniel wasn't about to let me take unnecessary risks. He had been very clear on boundaries. Her confidence faltered. "My mother, she's very sick right now and—" "Save it," Nathaniel interrupted. "I did a full background check on you when you started seeing Christian. Your mother passed away over a decade ago." I glanced at him. Apparently, he knew more about her than I did. Bridget's tone changed entirely. "I just need a little money to get by. I got mixed up with the wrong people and—" "Bridget," I cut in, "you have 5 minutes to leave my house." "Nathaniel?" "Yes, sir?" "If she's not gone by then, call the authorities," I said, picking up my briefcase and sliding my shoes back on. "Where are you going?" Nathaniel asked. "Where exactly are you going?" Bridget added, her carefully managed tone slipping. "Anywhere but here," I said simply. Nathaniel walked me out while Bridget's voice followed, calling for me to stop. I didn't slow down. "I'll take care of the locks," Nathaniel said as I slid into the driver's seat. "Thanks. Also, find out who let her borrow a company vehicle and have HR address it," I instructed. "Yes, sir," he said, then smirked. "Say hi to Alex for me." I rolled my eyes, started the car, and pulled away, taking the route I now knew by heart. When I reached Alex's place, I hesitated. I hadn't checked if he was even home, but judging by how tired he'd looked at work, I doubted he had plans. I parked out front and walked up to his apartment. My hand was halfway to knocking when the door swung open. There stood Alex, wide-eyed, wearing a onesie and with his hair wrapped in a towel. He must have just gotten out of the shower. It took him a moment to register that I was actually standing there. When it did, a small smile appeared on his face. "Christian?" "Hey," I said with a smile of my own. "What's up? Is something wrong?" I shook my head. "Just missed you." His smile widened. Without another word, he stepped aside to let me in. Alex's POV. "Would you like something to drink?" I asked Christian. He didn't answer right away, just watched me as I busied myself in the kitchen. The kettle had already started whistling, but I was too distracted by his gaze to notice at first. I'd nearly forgotten I'd been taking the trash out when I'd opened the door to find him standing there. Thankfully, I'd washed my face mask off just minutes before, though my hair was still wrapped in a towel. Unfortunately, I'd chosen to wear a onesie tonight, a fact I was trying not to think too hard about now. "Some water would be nice," he said at last. His voice was closer than before. I turned off the flame under the kettle and reached up to grab 2 cups from the cabinet. Another hand reached past me. I hadn't realized Christian was standing right behind me until then. "I've got them," he said quietly, close to my ear. His breath against my skin sent an involuntary shiver through me. "Thanks," I managed, watching him set the cups on the counter. He stepped closer until his presence seemed to fill every inch of space behind me. His hands found my waist. "This outfit is incredibly soft," he murmured. "It's called a onesie," I replied, my voice quieter than I intended. He chuckled, and the sound, along with the faint graze of his stubble against my neck, made my shoulders relax and my pulse race all at once. Christian's hands began to massage along my sides, the pressure warm and steady. Every so often, his touch lingered just enough to make my breath catch, before moving away again. I leaned slightly back into him without even thinking about it. Then he guided me to turn and face him. "I don't think I tell you enough how beautiful you are," he said softly. Heat rushed to my face. "Thank you, Before I could finish, he kissed me. It was soft, gentle, and far too brief, just enough to leave me wanting more. He pressed another quick kiss to my lips, then reached up to tug the towel from my head. His hands combed gently through my damp curls as he deepened the kiss. I let out a small, involuntary sound when he drew my bottom lip between his teeth. One hand remained in my hair while the other rested at the small of my back, holding me close. When he pulled away, I almost protested. "Those eyes," he murmured, brushing his lips against my temple. "Such soft skin." His cologne, warm and faintly spiced, surrounded me as I rested my hands lightly against his chest. "A truly perfect person," he added, his voice so low it felt like it belonged to this moment alone. I wanted to respond, but words seemed to have left me entirely. Christian stepped back just enough to look at me fully. His expression was steady, but there was something in his gaze, something unspoken, that made my chest tighten. We stood there in the quiet kitchen, the kettle cooling on the stove, both of us holding on to the moment like it might slip away if we moved too quickly. "Come on," he said at last, his tone lighter now as he threaded his fingers through mine. "What about the tea?" I asked, almost automatically. He smiled faintly. "We'll get to it later." And somehow, I knew we probably wouldn't. Thanks for listening to today's BL story. If it made your heart skip a beat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only here on BL Stories, where love knows no limits.